Hello. It's time for Goalie Interference episode 6. I don't know why we number these. Makes absolutely no sense why I'm numbering them, but I am. And it's episode 6. And of course, we are joined yet again with the man on the rookie card right here.
That's it.
Beautiful, beautiful rookie card. Mike McKenna of Daily Faceoff and of the Philadelphia Flyers alumni game. I have photos. It's going to be great.
Oh man, I was going through the pictures with my kids earlier, and my oldest daughter remembers it. My youngest daughter looks at me sometimes. She's like, "Yeah, I think I remember that." I'm like, "Please tell me you do," because that's the one reason I played that last season.
How old were they?
My last year, so my youngest daughter Adeline turned 3, and my oldest daughter was 5. She was 6 at the end of the year. So
tough one.
She does though. She remembers a lot of it from like the last half of the year, but I always kind of likened it to myself growing up. My dad raced cars, and I remember him doing that on a really high level. And some of my earliest memories are when I'm 3 years old at racetracks like Mid-Ohio and Road America. And, my grandpa Bill feed me like 8 ice cream drumsticks at Road America because, he liked them. So I kept eating them. Dude, like just these weird random thoughts.
That leads me into our first topic of the week, which is children, which they're scoring for the Golden Knights. How about that? Look at all these children. Plus, they have a new child, although I think he's 25 or something of that sort. I need to figure out what his name is. It's been a minute. Adam Brooks.
Brooksy.
You know him?
No, his last name's Brooks, so you
can't don't do that. Brooksy. They keep calling him Daddy for Dadonov, and like every time they do it, I just want to leave the room.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get a nickname calling anybody Daddy.
It's so bad. So I forget who it was. Like, nice pass. Oh, it was Lecision. He's like, what a great pass from Daddy. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now.
Sometimes things take on a life in the locker room that you just can't control. About midway through my career, people started calling me Kenny. And I just ran with it. I thought it was actually kind of funny. Me. Well, part of it came from this was the era of Eastbound and Down at HBO, and Kenny Powers was getting real big. And I mean, not that I would compare myself to Kenny Powers in any way. Not nearly as illustrious a career. I can guarantee
no one has.
No performance enhancing drugs whatsoever for me, or recreational drugs like Kenny Powers, thankfully. But yeah, I kind of became Kenny midway through my career, and every now and then I get the text here and there from an old teammate, and it's hysterical to get those. Kenny, what's going on?
Yeah, see, I've been trying to shed Kenny for a long time. Only certain people are allowed to call me Kenny, like my mother. I've always believed that if your name's Kenneth, there's a pattern. So between 0 and 7, you're Kenny. It's possible, depending where you're at in life, maybe that can extend to like 13-ish. And then from 13 to about 74, you're Ken, and then you're Kenneth until the end, and then that goes on the tombstone. So for now, it's Ken for me, and then you're Kenny. This is a mess.
Well, let's just wrap on this real quick before we get into the real important stuff.
I feel like this is the important stuff.
Well, it kind of is, because I think there's people out there who are going through similar pains in life, and Kenny, for me, being a last name nickname is probably different than a first. I cannot stand being called Mikey. I really like it's.
Yeah, I don't like Kenny.
People will
much.
Hear that and they'll think like, "Oh, Mikey." I'm like, no, hey, no, I don't like it. Don't call me Mikey, please. I don't enjoy that. It's not cool. Like, why would you willingly call somebody something they do not want to be called? Because you think it's funny.
Bothers them and it fires them up. Okay, Mikey. Cool. So let's move on.
That's not cool, Kenny.
So mad at me. Yeah, he's so mad at me already.
Jim Jimerson is just furious right now. We got we have warring factions here.
The Jimster.
SinBin.vegas. Yeah.
The Jiminator. Like, just terrible nickname. Hockey nicknames are terrible. They're just awful. Luckily, Tucky is gone. What a terrible name that was. I haven't heard one.
It used to be so good back in the day. So good, like 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Like the Dominator and,
Oh, I'm talking just like, man, they were so good back in the day. Like, I played with the guy this weekend, Chris Terry, and the guy's nickname was Bundy. Like,
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's just an absolute monster. He kind of moves like a burro on skates now, but damned if he wasn't one of the toughest bastards in the National back in the
I
day
need
for the
a video
Flyers.
of a Burrow on skates now.
I would
I'm
like
gonna
to see
need to
that.
see that at some point. I
That'd
forgot
be
to
good.
cut my favorite video. Speaking of children, I'm already devastated. We're gonna do it next week. We'll bring it back just because this cannot go on. We cannot go past without having this in the show. I didn't cut the video. I'm devastated with myself at the moment now. But did you see Jonas Rönnbjerg describe where the puck is going when he scored his first goal?
No, fill me
Oh my
in.
God. Okay.
I haven't caught all the media clips. I've been just watching through the lens of the analysts of the games
So
themselves. I want to hear it.
We're going to save it to next week. I'm saving it to next week. People who are listening probably know what I'm talking about because to me, it's literally the funniest thing that's ever happened in the history of the Golden Knights. It's the most innocent thing. We're saving it till next week. I have the video clip. Don't look it up. I want you to see it next week. But let's start with that game against Minnesota. Kind of the most important, I think, of the 3 games since we last talked. It's a good opponent. It's an in-conference opponent. It's an opponent that's coming into your building saying, screw you, you knocked us out of the playoffs last season. The Golden Knights obviously banged up, not as bad as they are now when in that game, which is amazing to say because they were missing 6 starters in that game, and now it's like 9. But that game was kind of the coming out party for all 3 of really Lecision, Rönnbjerg, and Cotter. They kind of dragged the Golden Knights into winning that game. I thought that was their best defensive game. Oh, producer Wigliffe is on the move here.
What's up, Wigliffe? How you doing?
Look at him.
That's a good boy, right? That's a 10.
Yeah, he is. Oh, he's on the move. He is not happy with me at the moment. The producer of this show. Actually, it's his fault that I don't have the Jonas Rönnbjerg video. He's the producer of the show. But as the week went on, the defense that was finally coming along started to take step after step after step backwards. And the concern I have, at least watching all 3 games and going back over them, is it's different issues. It was the rush against Vancouver. It's inability or unwillingness to block shots. There were times where they're dropping coverage. That didn't happen against Carolina. What do you make of the inconsistency to this point? And like, can you say, let's go off that Minnesota game and say that's the one let's focus on of the last 3? Or do you want to say, let's take all 3 and say they need to find a more consistent route to defending right now?
Well, I think it's just hard to blanket statement and say they got to be better, it's the truth, but you've had so much flux in this lineup.
Yeah.
It's real, man. That's so hard to play with. And your lines are being juggled. You know, somebody pops a COVID, he's out 10 days. Marshy's out, Carey is out. I mean, now Amadio, he just picked him up. Now he's gone. Like, and Ken, we may hit on this a little bit later. Like, I'm nervous right now, man, about the league itself. Like, I'm nervous about this Olympic break, the NHL going to the Olympics. I mean, Senators have already been postponed. Like, we're treading carefully here. I'll say that, but it's hard to play like that, man. Always filtering in. But I looked at that Minnesota game and I just went, wow, like this was a good performance up and down the lineup with guys that were hungry, and like you said, like the young guys, Cotter, Lecision, Rönnbjerg, like they kind of drug the rest of the team into the fight. You know, they scored the first 2 goals, and I think like that just gave a boost to the bench that it needed. Like, it'd been a while since they'd had something to really cheer about, I think, in some ways. You know, I mean, Paul Cotter scores and the kid just blows. Like, dude, you saw the expression on his face. Like,
pumped,
yeah, man, he's freaking out. And like Rönnbjerg's, I mean, his heart rate probably got to like 36, but for a Swede, that's like 150 for like
he's a Dane.
Or a Dane. I'm sorry, a Dane, but like Scandinavia. Taking anybody from that area of the world, like they're just so laid back, man. And I think that gave the team some life. And
I envy them. I envy their laid backness. I don't have that. I get very angry about everything.
No. But look at this. Like, the Golden Knights killed 6 penalties that game. Okay, they kept Wild off the board. Like, the kill was strong. Like, and how about this? We sat here last week and talked about Laurent Brossoit, and we were basing it off of 1 game. Well, he came out and had a nice performance. Played really nice. Okay, and that's a boost of confidence for everybody. And I was happy with that game for the Golden Knights. I thought the chances they created were good. I thought they did a nice job of limiting what Minnesota could get. And when they did give it to them, they got some saves. And that adds up to a win. And they got the lead early as well. So It was nice for them to get on home ice and get that. And as the week progressed here, though, it's kind of, I didn't like the Vancouver game. Vancouver sucks. Like, and man, it's hard for me to say that because I've played in the league and I understand that there's no gimmies. Like Arizona just beat St. Louis the other night, and St. Louis they've had some tough times. They've had COVID problems, but that's a good team, and Arizona beat them. You can't take any game for granted. But Vancouver, they were just loose, man. Like the number of rush chances against, getting down right off the bat. Like kudos that they came rallying back and ended up getting in the lead and taking.
I didn't like the response either on it after the game. Like I didn't like the way they were talking about it, saying like, well, we fell behind and we kind of just allowed ourselves to play their game. Like it's two goals in the first period. You're playing a team that you got to play your game if there is such a thing. And I'm not sure there is at the moment.
And that's where you find it kind of worrisome though, is that when you do start veering from your course, when you're playing against a team that's been all over the place, like Vancouver, that really doesn't have an identity, that can't get anything going on their power play. The Golden Knights did play into it in a way. It just started going up and down and up and down. It's like, this is where you have to have your structure. If you stick to your structure against a team like that, man, you'll run them out of the building. Like,
and they did, but they did it in a way that isn't exactly replicable against teams like they played 2 nights or 3 nights later.
Vancouver will shoot themselves in the foot 3 times a game, and that's what happened. And that didn't happen against Carolina. No surprise. So I truly do believe this big picture, and I've said this on other mediums that I've been on recently, that I really do admire what the Golden Knights have done, been able to rack up these points while missing star players. This really is impressive. Okay. Like we can sit here and nitpick and say, oh, they sucked last game against Carolina. I don't think they sucked. They got outplayed by a team that's better than them with a better lineup right now. Okay. Simple as that for me. And I do think that, you're not going to be able to count on Roenberg and Cotter and Lecision to truly replace some of the players you've had. No. Like none of those 3 are truly ready for the NHL. Okay. Like none of those 3 players are going to walk through this entire season in the NHL if the Golden Knights end up getting a modicum of health back. Like they're not NHL players just yet. Long-terms NHL full-time guys. I tell you what, though, this is an amazing step in their development. Okay. Like we've seen flashes of great play from all 3 of them.
And you're seeing it, yeah.
And like Roenberg, the way he skates and forechecks, I saw it last year in Henderson. Like he's not an offensive driver. The puck has to get to him, but once it's on his blade, he can skate. And
he'll go get it. He'll go take it away. And he's fundamentally sound, and I think that's why he's here. And Lecision.
And I think Roenberg, to me, has been probably the most impressive on a consistent level. I think just in terms of being responsible. I think so. Yeah, and it kind of falls into that. It's kind of into that same Scandinavian mentality.
I was going to say he's very Danish. That's a very
Danish. He's so Dane. Like he's so Danish. It's great. But like they're so predictable. Like they really are. And that's why, Euro players tend to fit in pretty well like that from that section of the globe. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned him talking after. Like I remember last year, I'm going to veer quickly. Indulge me. But we had a game in Henderson. Roenberg's player of the game, scores a goal or 2. And we always did an interview after the game. And, I'm talking to the guys in our headsets. They're like, well, who do you want afterwards? I'm like, Roenberg. They're like, I don't know. I don't know if he's really ready for this, if he's comfortable, I was like, then we're definitely putting him on. Because like, dude, it's part of your job.
Yeah. You better figure it out.
I understand there's a language barrier, but you know what? A lot of the times these guys speak it way more than they want to lead on. They're just timid. And if you're going to play in the National Hockey League, you got to be ready for the media commitments. You don't want to look like a fool up there. You need reps. You need practice. Like it was a harmless environment in the American Hockey League.
You interviewing him after an AHL game in which he's player of the game? No, that is dangerous.
I mean, like
the gotcha moments are everywhere.
Can you imagine the softballs I laid it for him? You know what I mean? Like I wanted him to succeed so bad and just do a post-game interview. So it was kind of a fun moment though, that honestly, it was a terrible interview, but it gave him experience. Like it just, You got to do this stuff. So I know
Oh,
I
I'm
went on a
so mad
tangent
we
there,
don't have
but
the video right now.
you
Unbelievable.
were,
I cannot believe I didn't cut it. And,
we'll get it.
intern Alex, he commented on the side there. Go cut that video for me. He knows exactly what I want. It's like 7 seconds long. Cut the video, email it to me, and hopefully I can get it on. We have to get that this week. Either way, as the week progressed, I thought the biggest thing that frustrated me last night was we saw something that honestly I don't think we've seen at all under DeBoer, and that is just an unwillingness to get in the way of shots. Whether it's sticks, it was bodies, it was anything, there was just an unwillingness to do that, and that's rare and not something we've seen before. And really, I don't know what to make of it, because I get it, Martinez is out, I know that you're missing a lot of players, but Stone's back. A lot of your defensive forwards are there. I don't really understand how you can go into that game understanding they're going to rip shots from all over the place. This is a game we need to help Leonard. This is a game we need to get in the way of shots. And instead, I think they were more focused on how are we going to break out? How are we going to make sure we don't drop coverage in our own zone? How do we make sure we do these things? And to me, that just fed right into what the Golden Knights wanted to do. And this is, I'll throw this into you in as well. Our guys gun shy from blocking shots due to the injuries? It's a fair question. Like, what did you make of the unwillingness last night?
I just didn't see the compete level where it needed to be. Simple as that. And I think as the game, really, as they got to like the second period, I felt like the Golden Knights started to feel frustrated with their own system because it wasn't working. And I'm going to dive deeper on that in a little bit, but I think it kind of played into it that, leading up to this game and even during, like, you just kept hearing this refrain of how good Carolina is in transition. And it's like, no, Carolina, yeah, they're good in transition. They're good in every situation.
Yes,
That's why they're the best team, arguably the best team in the league. And they roll 4 lines. When they get the puck deep in your zone, they cycle it around. They eventually get it to the net. Like, they do everything well. And it almost made me feel like we're focusing on stopping a transition game that, there's not a big need to focus on that, right? Like, it needed to be big picture stuff. And, the willingness to block shots is one thing. And that helps a lot. And I think it showed up that they allowed 42 shots on goal.
Yeah. You're never going to win that game to play in that way.
But I also just didn't see the battle in front of the net, and I think this is, frankly, I mean, Robin Leonard's given up a lot of rebounds. He has. And the Gold Knights are number 1 in the league in rebounds. Well,
they're also number 1 in allowing shots.
And they go hand in hand. They correlate. And that's where I think it's kind of misleading to say he gives up a lot of them, because I also think Golden Knights fans aren't used to watching a team that just isn't very good defensively. And right now, the Golden Knights just aren't good defensively. That's what's happening. And, a shot comes in, nobody's taking the sticks and the bodies around. Okay. Now, like the old mentality was like, move them out of the front of the net, let the goalie see the puck. You can't move a 210-pound dude on skates. You can't do it. The way you do it is you get behind them or you get in front, and as the shot comes, you tie up their stick, and then you keep them from getting to that rebound. That is not happening consistently with the Golden Knights right now.
Completely blew one.
Yeah. I look at him and I just think, like, gosh, man, some games I think he's starting to go, and then the defensive side just is not there. It's just not. And
very reliant on McNabb to do everything for him in
big
every
time. And like Ben Hutton looks like he hasn't played hockey in 6 months. Because he hasn't, and he's never played with this team. And he is a serviceable NHL defenseman.
He's fine.
Absolutely. But he doesn't look like he's in game mode right now.
Luckily, I think he's going to be out of there fairly soon. White Cloud seems to be pretty close to coming back. Martinez seems to be okay from that terrifying incident.
Oh, it's gross. I mean, but Theodore now, who knows? So, I
don't know what to make of him. There's moments where I see Shea Theodore. I think he has like 10 points in the last 10 games or something of that sort. But at the same time, like, I think he's one of the big reasons they're not defending at the level that they need to be. And then I guess I do wonder how much of this is Alex Pietrangelo, Shea Theodore, Dylan Coghlan saying, I need to chip in offensively. I need to move up. That's where I'm going to have some of the issues in the back. But that should lead to rush chances, not some of the issues they had. And yes, I'm aware they put Martinez on IR. However, it dates back to the date of the injury, which means he's probably out next game, potentially the following, but that's about it. Like it won't be that long.
Yeah, and you're also just looking for cap relief when you put somebody on IR. So
it's more it's not in this case it's not cap, it's roster.
Because it's not the long term, and yeah,
they need a number. They need a roster number.
Yes, exactly. So in a roundabout way, that's kind of how it works. But I do think that, and I'll dive in on this now. Like, here's the deal for me with the Golden Knights, especially against Carolina. Their breakout is fine against teams that they can outskate.
Yep.
That they can outplay that way. Not against Carolina. Carolina's gaps are so tight, and the way they run their forecheck and the way they run along the walls, like they had a game plan against Vegas and they executed it. Vegas's game plan when they get the puck in the D zone is go back, go D to D wide, kick it up the wall, and try to chip it and go. And Carolina was on that wall guy immediately. The first forechecker was on the guy with the puck, the defenseman that received it, made them force the issue quickly. The F2, or it's the F2 or F3, depending on the site. F2 is going straight to the wall to take away that player, and they're sealing it off.
Yep.
And about the only line to me that was really consistently successful breaking out was Dadonov, Stone, and Stevenson, because they're skilled enough with the puck to get it past the guy to chip it. You got Stevenson flying. Otherwise, Carolina was all over Vegas that way. And that's where, like, Theodore to me, like Theodore's played well. I mean, he's on my fantasy team. He's done great for me in fantasy. Okay. Like he's still producing
TOI.
But I watch him and I think there's another gear. Like, cause I just remember how he was allowed to freewheel with the puck previously,
in the
especially under Gerard Gallant. Really, like he was allowed to really lug the puck and carry it. And this system doesn't allow for that. This system is get the puck to the forwards as quick as you can and then join the rush and hope you get that late pass. Otherwise you're not picking up as a D. So I think Shea Theodore is underutilized, but I think it's predicated by the system and he doesn't have room for growth within it. So you're going to get a good version of Shea Theodore. You're not going to get the best. That's my belief. But I'm also not a coach in the National Hockey League.
Probably should have been an Eichel trade then.
I'm a goaltender. So I do see everything in front of me. But man, I think the Knights are predictable in their breakouts. Like, use the middle ice, guys.
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly where I was going to go.
And you don't need to do it all the time, but you need to vary it up enough, and you need to have the degree of creativity to make plays.
I think part of that is a lack of confidence in the center of the ice. Nick Waz, your first line center. I think you can be comfortable with him in your own end, but I don't think he's necessarily the type of guy that's going to hit that center ice breakout pass quickly. Stevenson is, like you said, the one group that did break out. That's because they are willing to chip off the boards a little bit. They are willing to hit that guy wheeling around, coming on out of there. As you go down the list, it's like, do we trust Ronebier? Do we trust Lecision? Do we trust Brett Howden? Whoever happens to, be that guy. And it's not always the center. But right now, it seems like the defensemen are just like, we don't have the center of the ice at all. We do not have that player wheeling through and that little chip pass, 5-foot pass off the boards. They just don't have it. Yeah. So they're hitting it up the boards. They're flipping it out. They're hitting the puck over the glass too often. And you give up possession. There's no way. They're going to come at you in waves when you play that way.
That's what happened against Carolina. As you could tell, the frustration level started to go and they started to stretch the zone. And they did that by flipping pucks. And you know what? It pays off occasionally. And that does lead to quick strike plays for the Golden Knights where they cash in sometimes. Okay. I mean, Howden, I played with him in Syracuse in the American Hockey League. He can skate. And he's got a decent
skate that well.
He can skate. And
I also think that was a little bit of Brendan Smith's inability to skate in that particular
at the end of his shift. But I mean, like, Howden can skate. He's got a decent set of mitts, but that's everybody in the NHL. But you can get quick strike.
Not everybody,
dude. Like, go out and skate with him, Kenny. But no,
I'm not saying me. I don't compare him to me. I'm saying compare him to.
I'm giving you a hard time, buddy. I know. But like, some guys are speedsters. And to me, actually, I do think that for the most part, this is the honest truth. I think that the great majority of NHL players at this point are within probably a 2 to 3 mile an hour delta in terms of top speed. Okay. We're talking like 19 to 22 miles an hour for most guys, 20 to 22.
Yeah.
The biggest difference for me is how quick they get to it. There's some you'll have to rev that sucker up like donkey, like, like Bowser in Mario Kart, and it'll be the far blue line or hash marks before you're going full tilt.
I was wondering where the donkey was going there.
Yeah, but dude, like there's no stopping you once you're motoring.
It was a video game reference and not something else.
Yeah, it wasn't. And but then there's some guys that are just instant, and like Tuck was a guy. Tuck was a guy to me that, he could get it ripping. Stevenson's just, it's amazing how fast he is right away.
He's outside of the delta.
He is. I mean, I think we clocked him at 23 last year or something, which is one of my favorite things to watch. I love when they track the speed of the
Wouldn't
players.
It be nice if they gave those stats to the public?
Yeah, you got to keep something in your back pocket.
No, you don't.
Podcast. So
whatever, sure.
But anyway, I mean, like, let's look at last night's game. They did fight back. They made it 2-2. They made a game of it, and then the third period just bang right away.
Back to what they were doing in the first.
Yeah.
Not willing to get in the way of shots. Focused more on let's not drop coverage. That's what I thought the entire focus was. And going in, like in the first period, I kind of saw it like, okay, this is going to be a game where guys are going to get lost. And they didn't. But then it came down to the goals and the way the goals were scored, basically all of them, specifically the two key ones. It's rebounds. They're both rebounds off of Leonard. To me, not the goalie in this conversation, not the goalie interference in this conversation. I didn't think that either of those were bad rebounds. I think a lot of the rebounds that Leonard has given are bad rebounds. But before you answer my question of how bad were those rebounds, I'm going to tell you that this show, Goalie Interference, is brought to you by the Jimerson Law Firm. The Jimerson Law Firm is one of Las Vegas's preeminent. Do you know the word preeminent?
If you're speaking to me, of course I know preeminent. That means it is one of the absolute golden standard, top, best of the best.
That word had so many syllables that the first 4 times I said it, I screwed it up. And finally, now I can easily say that the Las Vegas's preeminent law firm, specializing in high-stakes business, civil, and family litigation, when winning matters, could have used it last night. Winning did matter to Carolina. Seek out the Jimerson Law Firm. So, bad rebounds, yes or no?
No, not in that instance. What I think makes it look bad for Leonard is that he's not very good at sealing the ice and rotating after he makes a save in order to make combo saves. So the initial rebounds that he gives up, I don't think they're any different than anyone else. You look at the last 2 goals, like it's a one-timer from the point. He's set. He kicks it off his pad. It's right on the right side doorstep. It's a goal. Well, that's going to happen. Okay. Like you can't control one-timers off your pads and put them in a place other than off to the side when they hit your shin or your pad. The only thing you can try to do is get your stick on it. So I don't blame him on those whatsoever. And it's easy to just say, well, why aren't the guys getting the rebounds? Well, this is a tough part of Leonard's game. Okay. When the puck hits him, when it goes laterally, he's not very flexible. So it's hard to seal the ice, and he doesn't rotate as very quickly. And the key to this is that when I say rotate, it's quickly, quite literally, if you imagine a person in the middle of the net, just turning your body. Okay. Because the whole key, goaltending is all geometry, man. Like if you can just imagine your 2 shoulders and going in a line to the puck and creating a triangle, you want your shoulders to be the same distance from the puck. Okay. Like that's being,
look how good I am at goalie.
I'm trying to give you the rudimentary mathematics.
Look how small my shoulders are.
Dude, you literally like your shoulders fell off. I don't know.
I do not have shoulders. I don't have.
Like, dude, I somehow I got square shoulders. But
I don't have much of anything when it comes to body. It's not there. No hair, no muscles, nothing.
You're going down a really weird road right now, Ken.
But, I have nothing. So stop it. Get off the donkey stuff.
I have no life. I have anyway.
I never said that.
I know. I'm just giving you shit. But
not very
he
nice.
He doesn't rotate well. and
I mean,
rebounds are
everyone
hard.
knows it. Everyone watching this knows I have no life. You don't have to rub it in.
So he does struggle with rebound chances because of he's just not as mechanically gifted as some goaltenders. And part of it is because, Leonard's so big and he reads the play so well that he can cheat a little bit with his angles and still be able to make saves, but that leaves you a little bit more exposed for the next shot. So that's why,
Don't you need more defense there? Don't you need help from the defenders? Don't you need Dylan Coughlin understanding that this shot's coming off his pads? We need to clear, let's cancel that stick out, please.
That was where I was headed with it, is that if you trust Robin Leonard to make the first save, you're in business. Okay. This guy makes saves. And from that point, you're not going to get many combos from him, though. Like, he's not that second, third type of goaltender. He'll make some, he'll make most of them. But in those really, really quick bang, bang moments, man, he's not going to get as many as you would like,
Right.
So,
right.
And this is where a team like Carolina can expose a goaltender. And the top teams know how to play against top goaltenders. The Washington Capitals knew how to play against Marc-Andre Fleury.
Don't remind me. Stop it.
You may not like this, but I know all about this. All right. I got knowledge on this. That's pretty heady on it, that there was an entire scouting video on how to score on Marc-Andre Fleury before the Stanley Cup Finals. Okay. Now that's not odd for a team.
And then someone burned it for 3 years, and now it's back.
It was really in depth, and it worked. And that's what you have to be cognizant of, is that you can always beat a team if you play tight defense, no matter what. If you tighten up defense, you can beat a team, no matter their plan. And the Golden Knights got outchanced by the Carolina Hurricanes. They got outshot by the Carolina Hurricanes.
Right.
They didn't have the same lineup, and Carolina's deep right now, man.
Well, they weren't committed. I don't think they were committed to winning that game, and that's fine. I'm not losing my mind over it. It's not that big a deal. I just didn't think they went into that game as committed to winning it as they would have needed to have actually won it, and that's fine.
I'm going to push back on you on that, man. I'm just going to push back because, man, players just then they don't think that, okay, but it did play out like that. All right, they wanted to win that.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
You walk in that locker room.
I phrase that. Yeah. Sorry, I should phrase this in a way that's more player friendly. Sorry,
dude, it's all right. I got to stand up for the locker room here. But this is what you're hitting on is you're dead on, Ken. You really are. Okay. But what I'm saying is, when they walk in the locker room and they see the Carolina Hurricanes up on the board, who they're playing. Dude, that's totem pole stuff. You're looking top of the heap. Let's make a statement. Let's go. We just knocked off Minnesota 2 games ago. We've won a couple in a row. Let's go.
4.
And then reality sets in very quickly. And that's where the inexperience level, and you start looking around the room. Where's Alec Martinez? He's not in the lineup. Where's the rest of our guys, the worker bees? Where's Carrier? Where's our Warriors? You're missing them. And you just kind of it starts to drain a little bit. And that's what you're alluding to here, Ken. Is that it just that fight, that will to win kind of starts to spiral as soon as you start to have doubts, especially when you're missing some core pieces in the lineup.
And then Brett Howden scores a beauty goal. And now all of a sudden you're like, we can do it. If Brett Howden can do it, we can do it.
But that's how it goes in waves. Inconsistent teams go in waves. You just, you don't have that workman-like mentality. Carolina looked like they were, dude, they were cruise control in a good way. They were pedal to the floor, structured within their system on top of the Golden Knights.
They're really good.
They're good. And man, Antti Ranta hadn't played in a while, and he looks sharp too. Okay.
Which
he was
is
good.
Rare.
Antti Ranta is a very good goalie, but he's never healthy. So if he's healthy, you can watch out for him.
All right. Let's bring on some guests. Let's hit the stinger. Oh, it's a beautiful stinger. I love our stinger. Who should we go to first? Do you want Tyler or Cannon, so it's not my fault when the other one has to go second?
I was hoping for the real stinger, the wrestler.
Another stinger. Boom, 2 stingers.
Yes.
Same show, back-to-back stingers. All right, pick somebody. Do you want Tyler or Cannon, so it's your fault?
All right, dude. Cannon's a badass name. Let's go to Cannon.
Oh, I thought you were going to go to Cannon's a badass name. Let's go to Tyler. That would have been a hell of a move. All right, it's Cannon. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, man? Thanks for coming on.
You're taunting me with that haircut. It's so nice, and it looks like someone who has nice hair, and I do not.
Yeah, I'll donate some to you.
My hair's only good when I can actually get a cut in Vegas. I'm still my hairstylist is pretty good here, but not the same as Vegas. So working on it. All right, what you got for us here?
So no, I picking up on what you were just talking about, Mike. Ken, you were being a little bit brutal there. But something that you did touch on, just to the player aspect. I'm sorry, I have to side.
Well, they can all suck it.
Oh Lord. Okay, so. Is there a breakdown, going back to Leonard, because he lets a lot of loose change in front of the net. Is there a breakdown in communication with our defense and between him? I think we noticed it when Leonard first got traded to Vegas, 2 years ago now? And it definitely was a different playing style than what they were used to with Fleury. But it really, like being at the game last night, it really seemed like there was just a lot of miscommunication going on between Leonard, going behind the cage and maybe the defenseman not going back, picking up the puck. What do you guys think about that?
Great question.
Yeah, well, you said something that's really pertinent to me in the middle of that you noticed it when Leonard first came. A huge reason is because him and Marc-Andre Fleury polar opposites in terms of how they play.
And humans.
And well, you know what? I like them both.
I do too. I like
these are guys.
They are very different humans.
I am friends with these guys, and I like them. But they are so different in how they play. And
sorry.
Oh yeah. I can think of.
Let's name all of them. Go.
I only had one goalie partner I ever didn't get along with.
Name him.
No, I'm not.
Come on,
no chance, because we get along now, man. Everything's good. He makes amazing pies.
Me and number 75 are BFFs too.
He makes amazing pies. So anyway, let's get to your question here. I know this is what we do. We get off on these weird tangents.
It's fine.
But they're just so different in how they played. And you're built around a team in Marc-Andre Fleury. You're built around a guy who's very athletic, that loves to find pucks, that communicates very often with his defenseman in game, that handles the puck really well. Marc-Andre Fleury is an excellent puck handler. He's got more nuance with the puck, more poise with the puck. Whereas for the most part, Robert Leonard, when he gets the puck on his stick behind the net, if he's got time, he'll make the pass.
Sure.
But if he's a little pressed, it's going on the glass, and the other team knows it.
Yep.
And that's where Marc-Andre, I was superior in that way. Now, in terms of actually playing, I do think it takes a goalie a bit of time to adjust to his teammates in front of him. It's more incumbent on the goaltender than it is on their teammates to the goalie. But in this case, with them being so different, diametrically different, it is a shift for the Golden Knights players. I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury was able to eat a lot of pucks. He was so good with reads. He'd take pucks high on the chest and swallow them, and really handy with his gloves. They taste like vulcanized rubber, Ken. They're very bland.
God, what are you doing?
Those things, by the way, in the old days when we had wood sticks, if a puck hit the wood of the stick, it burned and it made the worst smell on earth. You knew immediately. So I think that, in game, I don't think there's a communication problem in terms of just what they're seeing in shots and what they want.
Okay.
I think there's just a defensive problem, straight up. I don't think that they're taking sticks in front the way they need to. I don't think they're converging at the net and playing heavy enough, playing hard enough in front of the net. But when it comes to puck handling, that's where I see it. And that is a communication-based thing, because, the team's going to keep the same calls, the same different words that they need to hear from one another. Okay. So when I used to go behind the net to play the puck, I'd stop it and I would hear up, over, or play it. And if it was up, I knew I was going back to the same side and making a pass. If it was over, I was going to the other side, making a pass. And if it was play it, well, you can imagine what that means.
Yep.
And so
deke.
Yeah.
Miss,
go score a goal.
Score.
So every team has different calls, but the goalie has to listen, and they have to have the confidence, and they have to have their head up, and they have to make these decisions. And that's where I think the communication can sometimes lack, especially, like you get somebody like if you're really headstrong about how you play, like you just make your own decisions and you go with it. And it's not as well oiled. Like Flower was there for 3 years at this point, and like this is really Lenny's first chance at this cage.
Yeah, it's still
it's his. And I think we still have to give a little bit of runway here before it's truly his crease.
I think there's something to be said about that inability to play in front of their goal. And that's where there is something there that, like, did they go with the right guy long term? The second chances. I'm a little concerned about how that's going to look in a postseason series, because those are the goals the Golden Knights give up. I thought Fleury stopped more of those than Leonard did. That's how they've lost in the playoffs. That scares me. The fact that we're seeing it again, not necessarily the power play one. Obviously the Coghlan one last night, but it's more so when you go back to that Minnesota series, how they were able to clear out those rebounds early in the series, and then it stopped, and all of a sudden Minnesota comes charging back in. I don't know that how much communication is there when that puck is loose in front? Isn't everyone just yelling like the F word and trying to get it to the corner?
Well, you're not panicking. That's what that would mean. But you're focused. Like,
that's what you're supposed to do with
there's not if you're a goaltender, basically you could imagine what you're
trying to locate.
You're trying to locate it, and if you can see it, you're trying to guide and dictate the chess pieces in front of you, right? Like, I mean, if I've got Theodore in front of me,
Petrangelo to F7,
like Petro to the wall, like wall or clear.
Oh, you don't use chess terms. That's disappointing.
You're get it to the ruck.
Yes,
not the rookie,
exactly.
the ruck. We need the bishops up ice.
Right. You'd sound like an idiot.
This is utterly ridiculous. But like you're just trying to give any direction you can, right? You're trying to help your teammates find the puck, Petro feet and anything you can. So I do think that the communication is building. I don't think it's a problem, but I think it's going to continue to build. And I do think that, hey, I mean, Robin's played a dozen games, I guess, at this point. I want to say close to that. I don't have his numbers exactly in front of me, but it's going to still take a little bit, because even
13.
though 13, thank you. I mean, him and Marc-Andre just going back and forth, like that I found was hard.
It's almost like that was a bad idea.
Well, it was interesting. We'll say that. I was watching Calgary the last
stupid
games.
Is another word you could use.
Stop that. I was watching Calgary the last couple games, and Markstrom and Vladar. How many people? Raise your hand if you heard of Vladar coming into this year.
Nope.
I did, because I played against him in the minors, and the guy, you want to call him Darth Vader because of his name. It's hard to forget. But him and Markstrom are 6'5" and 6'6". They play a lot alike. I mean, like, they're pretty interchangeable. And that's a nice feeling for a team. And that's one of the reasons why I do think Brossoit is a good partner to Leonard, because they're much closer than Flower and Leonard.
And they don't cost $12 million, which is so much better.
The good news there, getting Brossoit, is we're not going to get shut out by him anymore in Winnipeg. So
that is
there you
good.
go.
That is good.
Can't beat him. Get him on your team, man.
Yep.
Great stuff, Cannon.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. That was fun.
Stuff. And Tyler, sorry that went on for like 37 minutes. Now, time for
this
Tyler.
guy?
Tyler, let's talk about a fellow there. The one and only, the fourth line goon, as we know him. What a fantastic name. What's up, buddy?
Oh, just hanging out. I got a beer league game here in about 20 minutes. So I was like,
I know, that's why I was trying to make sure we got you on.
Pick me first. But yeah, no, man, it's good to chat with you guys. I mean, everything you've said so far, as you were saying it, I was listening and I kept nodding my head. I'm like, okay, it's all starting to make sense, because, going back to last year when they were talking about how the guys played differently in front of Leonard. Right? They played differently and we couldn't figure out why. And then now I'm like, oh, it's the rebounds, and he's not as fast to cover those extra shots as Fleury was. So, I mean, it's kind of all coming together, but I guess to keep with the theme, I have two questions, but keep the theme of goalies. Do you think, I feel like we would have lost that game no matter who was in net.
Maybe if Mike McKenna plays, maybe they win 2-1.
I thought, we're talking Carolina. I thought Robin played really well.
He did, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is not a question of goaltending for sure. But I was a little concerned just because, Leonard in his career has never beaten the Canes. He was 0-5-0 going into that game. Now he's 0-6-0. Do you think, looking back now, once again, we all are in agreement that it wasn't a goaltender situation, but why not give Brossoit that chance? If, Leonard had that shaky past, why not, give him an opportunity and break up some of these games at home?
Because he's the guy. And I think it's
the dude. Let's tweet it
out. That's and I know that's kind of, I know that sounds kind of crazy to say that, but like he's got to beat him at some point, and that's where when you're playing against a team like Carolina, you want to have your ace goaltender. You want to have the guy that you're paying to stop the pucks, go in there and be successful. And Marc-Andre Fleury, I want to say I think this is the case. He was terrible against Minnesota. I want to say. I'm almost 100% that like that was the team that was his boogeyman, I want to say. And he was incredible against San Jose and is incredible against them. Which, obviously we know how things can go sometimes in playoffs or anything, but I think it's just a matter of wheeling out the guy that you think is going to be your goalie and not overthinking it to the extent where, like, I was surprised that we were here last week and I was surprised that Laurent Brossoit started that game against Minnesota. That was a big surprise to me. And because I thought he'd be going, because he went, I guess the Saturday before against Montreal was the game he took, I believe, I want to say. And he didn't look great in that. Or was it Detroit?
It was Detroit.
It was Detroit because it was the back end of the back-to-back. Yeah.
Yeah, so, much better back. Yeah, much better all-around performance that second time. He seemed to warm up for sure.
Yes. So, you're going into a game there's 2 days between the Vancouver game and the Carolina game. And I thought that you're riding your guy, and if you're in a situation where it's towards the end of the year and maybe you're looking to rest a guy and you see that someone's really good against another team, and maybe that makes sense to do it. It is still early. And thankfully, to me, the Golden Knights aren't in panic mode by any stretch, no matter how crazy this year's been for them. Like, I honestly, I said this earlier, like, I'm really impressed that they've racked.
They've been great.
They have everything that they faced for adversity. So,
some luck. Which is weird to say for this team, like, oh, they're the luckiest team, like, on the ice, other than everyone's injured and now the COVID thing we can't get away from. But yeah, like I think they've been playing fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I think basically you're riding your guy, and especially like you want him to have the confidence of beating that team. Think about it this way: if you go to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Carolina Hurricanes and you and you didn't play your top guy during the season, what's that look like?
Just trade for a new goalie in the middle of the year.
Oh, Ken.
That almost worked one time. And then
that's fair. I just, you always wonder how much of that's premeditated. And with Leonard, we can't help but feel like he does get in his own head with some of these number situations, especially like, he's like, oh, I hate the shootouts. And it's
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, he kind of seems like, at that scenario, he's hard to. He doesn't really change his patterns. I feel like his weaknesses are his weaknesses and his strengths are his strengths. And knowing that as a coach, I was just wondering how much of that would go into play. But I totally understand, at the same time, riding the guy that's going to be in net. I just thought we'd see more of Brossoit, paying him what we are and him being a backup. I'm kind of surprised he hasn't gotten an extra game or two.
I think you would if they weren't as banged up as they were. And I think DeBoer's well aware, like, he needs to play more. He's played 3 of the 16. I think he plays one of the next 2. He probably plays one of the road games. Like, I think you're going to start to see a lot more. But then it comes down to they're going to have to keep winning because this is not a team that accepts 3 losses out of 4. It's like everyone's fired. Trade for Eichel. Like, that's how they deal. So, and the coach knows that. So that's why I think you've seen less of Brossoit.
I agree with you though here. I was surprised that we hadn't seen more of him early. But I do think, like Ken said, that the winning factor plays a role. If they were steamrolling, he'd play 1 out of every 4 games. But I do agree. I think you're going to see him again, especially because he played well that last game. You don't want a guy to sit on the bench for 2 weeks. So I would think one of these next 2 games, I'd be hesitant to guess which one. But I think one of the next 2. Can I guess? I don't know.
Who do we got coming up?
I would think Leonard
Thursday and Saturday.
Yeah.
So
I think Leonard,
Detroit, and then Columbus.
Leonard's going to go against St. Louis for sure on the 22nd. You got to think that.
Then there's a Nashville after that.
And then Nashville, which, I mean, I think you could see Brossoit potentially. You could see
I think
against
Brossoit's
Detroit.
playing tomorrow.
I think there's a good chance against that.
That would be my bet too, is that he's playing against Detroit.
The only thing to think about though is you've got travel involved there too. Like if Leonard goes again tomorrow, he'd have the 19th, 20th, 21st off before that game in St. Louis with travel from Vegas to St. Louis. And I mean, Tyler, you and I know about travel to St. Louis, dude. Like it's
too well.
It's not too. We got two St. Louisans here, like, but it's not that long of a flight. 3.5 hours as I'm sitting here in Manchester, Missouri. But I think you have to think about that for sure. So, but I agree, man. I think we could see Brossoit twice in the next 4 games here, I would think.
Tyler, what position do you play?
Oh, I'm a forward.
Yeah, just wing, or you center? You take draws?
No, I mean the fourth line goon name definitely resides in how I play.
Do you?
I'm the guy that cleans up in front of the net, right? The guy that we need on the Golden Knights.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could use one.
Yeah, no, all my goals are not pretty, but at the end of the day, stat sheets don't have photos, so that's all I say to that.
I didn't make many pretty saves.
A goal is a goal. But yeah, fellas, before I get out of here, I had one question, and it's not goalie related, but I really wanted to hear your take on this. So with the way the luck is going and we're getting so many injuries, so therefore there is no luck, I can't help but feel like when we need these injuries, they're not going to show up. So it kind of begs the question, who goes, right? I mean, is it going to happen all year? I mean, I know injuries do happen, but I mean, I can't help but feel like when we're going to need these injuries to happen, they're not going to be there. So who do you think, is shipped out? I mean, we got so many words, so many names that are being thrown around. Where do you land? Or, not who do you think, but who do you think would be the right move, I guess is the question.
You want to take that one, or you want to hand that one off to me?
Oh, baby. The right move that's the hardest way to say this. Because I never think that the right move, what I've always considered the right move hardly happens.
Especially if you follow this team.
I will say this. I thought the move to get Mark Stone was the right move. I thought the move to get Max Pacioretty. I really don't like Nick Suzuki being gone. I don't.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you don't like Nick Suzuki. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Like as a dude.
He's a horrible guy.
Yeah.
Gentleman.
I don't like his contract. I think the Pacioretty and the Stone deals were the right thing. I think Stone's deal's a little rich, but I struggle with some of those decisions. And for me to say the right person to go, we don't know what the cap's going to look like if it happens. And is it one person or is it two?
Call it one.
And if it's
we'll say one.
Say it's one at least $4.875 million.
I've been saying this all along that if I'm Riley Smith, man, I'm worried. He's the expiring contract. He's approaching the age where teams think you can't play anymore, whether that's right or wrong. Like they always think that you hit 30 and your play goes like this. And like, no, man, that dude's going to be money until he's 36.
You have Kenny Dodonov, in which case then we'll take your contract.
Yeah. So I think Smith, if it's one guy that's going to go, he might be your guy.
That's how I see it too. I think it's
God, that would sting because I would hate that because I know he is just, if he's not the most respected guy, like I guess you can't really say the most respected guy because there's a ton of bodies in that room that everybody does. But I mean, he's like the quarterback, dude. Like I know what Jonathan Marchessault thinks of him. He's just everything in the world, and you really look up to this person. And, but those decisions do have to be made eventually. That's real. And it's going to be hard. I don't envy whatever happens that way.
I think they're going to try to play somewhat of the injury game as far as they can.
Oh, you have to.
I think they're also well aware that due to there being a month off, due to a lot of these injuries coming back early, and I think there's a willingness to get a full roster on the lineup on the ice prior to the postseason. I think they're going to try and kind of maneuver some of these 2 millions and some of those numbers, the Janmarks, the Carriers, Stevensons, the lesser numbers, find a way to build that up to like 4 or 5 million. And then you go Smith from there. The question is, where does Smith go? You would hope he goes out of the conference. I don't think you want to see Riley Smith in the first or second round of the playoffs. Like, certainly out of the division would be good. There's also a timing aspect. Like right now, there's probably value on Riley Smith. If you wait until March 10th, when the deadline's on the 12th, the value goes away because you're up a creek and everyone else in the world knows it. And so teams aren't calling to help out the Golden Knights. Mark Stone said it last night. No one feels sorry for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Well,
I think that's the way they're going to go.
I mean, at that point, it's not even about recouping assets. It's just getting under the cap.
And
they
probably going to have to pay.
They gave away the Vezina winner.
They sure did.
And
Mikhail Häkkinen. They got Mikhail Häkkinen,
who they canceled his contract. So it was a mutual termination.
They got Mikhail Häkkinen.
So you just, man, it's
not good.
It's tough.
All right,
really
Tyler.
tough.
Here's what I'm looking for. I want 3 face-off wins, so you're going to have to take some draws today. I need 4 shots on goal. I'm not going to ask for a goal if that's too much. I understand. I'm not asking for that. I need at least an apple, and then somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 to 27 hits.
You know what? I'll guarantee a goal. How about that? A goal and assist. I can guarantee it.
I'm going to need is someone filming this? I need a highlight.
Yeah, actually, we'll report back. They film him.
All right.
at
Next
CNN,
week,
so.
if he scores, you're coming back on. Great stuff, Tyler. We appreciate it. Good stuff. All right. Guess what? I have the video. Well,
is it?
In theory, I have the video. The intern, Alex, cut this. Let's hope he got it right. Here we go.
You're going to put the pucks, how you going to display them?
Yes.
Mine's going in my room.
One more time.
Where are you going to put the pucks, how you going to display them?
Mine's going in my room.
I can't get over it.
Mine's going in my room.
Where are you going to put the pucks, how you going to display them?
Mine's going in my room.
It's the most genuine. Like, it's the greatest answer I've ever heard to that question because it's so real. It's so real. Like, you can see it again. Watch his face. He listens to the question.
One more time. Just one more time.
He thinks about it. He thinks about what's going to happen. He's like, okay, what is this question? Where is the puck going? Okay, where is the puck going in his mind? And then he goes to answer, and he jumps Cotter to answer, which is great because the question was to either of them. He jumps Cotter to say,
where are you going to put the pucks, how you going to display them?
Mine's going in my room.
Cotter's reaction's incredible.
Mine's going in my room. Amazing. And now forever, anytime Jonas Rönnbjerg does anything ever, it's going in his room.
Oh, God.
That puck is going in his room. If he breaks somebody's stick, it's going in his room. Oh, my God. I can't get enough of it.
Where are you going to put the pucks, how you going to display them?
Mine's going in my room.
I can't get enough of it.
The smile. The smile's the best, man.
I know. There's a little
so
smirk
good.
in there. It's so great.
Genuine, it's so pure, dude. It's
my
so
mind
pure.
instantly goes to, I'm assuming this is his room, at his mother's house.
It's
my mind tells me he still lives there. I also have this belief that I'm pretty sure he lives with Lucas Elvenes in Vegas. And I have this feeling that's a dig at Lucas. Mine's going in my room. Oh man.
Well, he's not
phenomenal.
going to put it in the kitchen.
It's so great. And then you imagine women coming to his house and be like, what's that? That's my goal puck. It's in my room.
Hey, here's my there's my game pucks. That's my first NHL win. There's my first shutout. We do get those things, man. It's pretty cool when they frame them for
I have a Stanley Cup final puck.
Yeah.
That's
you know what? I actually
bought
didn't
it.
know this about right here is a game sheet from the first game I played in the NHL. And they give you a framed game sheet with the puck. It shows up at your house in a big case. I had no idea you get
game
one.
sheet meaning the stats or the
rosters.
Okay, yeah,
game
yeah.
sheet. It's what's
Yeah.
turned in by the head coach turns in the game sheet to the offense
Okay,
officials to turn
yeah.
it into the league. So it's that and a game puck, and it's framed, and it comes with a letter from Commissioner Gary Bettman, and congratulations
I don't
on.
need that part.
And so I've got the letter framed. I've got the the game sheet and everything. And
What's
pretty
like
cool,
your
man.
most prized possession? Like, well, of all things, not humans. Don't do humans. We can't. That's what do you got? What is like the thing? For me, it's this white glove. I love this white glove. In regards to like hockey related stuff, I have some other dumb stuff in my house.
I don't really know, man. Like
got to be like a helmet or something. No, I mean
this stuff is all
it's
cool. All amazing. It means a lot to me. But it is just kind of material stuff,
You know like where all of it is right now?
Yeah, I've got it
it's
all.
It's in your room.
Yeah, it's in my closet. It's in my guest room closet.
Mine's going in my room.
My room. I do think most important thing I have was actually just a letter to me from my grandpa.
Oh, that's cool. Well, look at you getting all sentimental.
Well, I'll tell you.
Crying.
I know we're up on time, but I'll tell the story. And
this is SinBin. We do 4-hour-long podcasts. We have no time limit.
Well, I do this evening, but I will tell you the story though, and because I've only told this once or twice before publicly, and it's really cool, and it kind of defines my family, who I am, everything, and why like me making it to the NHL was so special. Like hockey didn't exist in St. Louis when my grandpa was a kid. Like he was one of like 10 people that started the sport here. There are no boards. Like they skated on ice and they'd have to travel 2 hours to Springfield, Illinois to find a rink that had boards. And he became a linesman in the old Central Professional Hockey League.
That's awesome.
And then he helped start hockey in town. And he was an off-ice official when the St. Louis Blues came to town. So he was the official scorer. And my dad's done it ever since. You know, they're the guys you see in the NHL jackets walking around. You know, you've seen them in the rink. And,
oh, yeah.
So Grandpa, I think it was 25 years of service, goes to the NHL awards banquet. They have him come and they give him a watch. And I have the watch. I wore it at my wedding. Like it's
a Rolex.
It is. It might be a Timex. I don't know, but it's gold and has the NHL logo on it. Okay.
Nice. That's cool.
So it doesn't matter what it is. It's what it is to us.
It matters.
And so they gave him that, but you know, it was at the awards banquet that they honored them. My dad was with them, and they gave everybody their, you know, you get your little booklet, your pamphlet, the program. And I had no clue this existed. None. That my dad kept the booklet from this, kept the program. And after the first game I played in the NHL, and this is okay. So the 25 year, they went to this when I was like, I don't know, 10 years old, 9 years old. I'm little. Okay. And I played my first game in the NHL at age 24 or 5. And it's a win. It's a shutout. My dad comes downstairs and he hands me this program from the NHL awards banquet. And like, I'm already overjoyed, right? I come off the ice. I gave my dad a hug after the game. Like this is pretty cool.
Pumped, yeah.
Yeah. And I still can't believe it's happened. It was like a whirlwind for me. Cause I didn't expect it to happen. And I opened that thing up, and on the inside cover of it is a letter written to me by my grandpa that I didn't know this existed. My dad had kept it. I mean, since that like moment, since he passed away, like when I was like 13 years old, I guess. And like, I'm standing there after my first NHL win and shutout. It's like the third game I ever played. And I just, the moment I opened it and saw his handwriting, like I was done. Like I was immediately
can't control that. Yeah.
Like just crying. And, you know, the long story short of it was basically like, you know, Michael, I hope that you play this game forever and that you someday get to play in the NHL. But even if you don't, you'll always be your number one fan or whatever. And like, it kills me now with it because it's the most amazing story, and it's the memories of them. But I'm telling you, man, this is really like the power of what a moment like that is like for
It's what sports is for, man. Like that's
like,
the
dude,
point.
like we're laughing at
Great.
that moment because it is hysterically funny how he responded and everything. But I can guarantee you, when he gets home and he gets that puck and it's in a case and you look at it on the wall, man, like everything you've ever hoped for in life has come true. Like
It's going in his room.
I mean, and it is going to be in his room.
But so speaking of still playing, you said you wanted to play for the rest of your life. Like, look at this. Look at this week.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Look at those pads, man.
Look, those are nice. Nice Bauer stick there.
Yeah, my tape was 3 years old. You can't tell. It looks like the cat peed on it, but that's okay.
Who is this gentleman in front of you here?
That's Richie Sutter. That's a Sutter brother.
How old is he?
Probably 60 or so.
Yeah.
Joe Watson played. He was 78 years old, played defense with no bucket on out there.
this.
There's Bundy. That's me and Bundy, Chris Terrian.
Yeah. Fantastic. There you are. Put your helmet back on. There's pucks coming.
No way. I'm keeping that baby up, man. I might look pretty for the next like year or two. So I got to wear that thing up as much as I can.
I'm not a big fan of your hat. The logo's too big. I was thinking about this earlier.
No,
the logo is aggressively large on that hat.
That's what I wore on the bench a couple of years ago.
I know that hat. It's just that the logo's too big. There's a lot going on there. I don't know. Not a fan of your hat. Sorry.
It's branding.
It's just the logo's absurdly. That is a nice helmet, though. Hang on.
Yeah, I think it was the best mask I had.
That thing
and
is.
So, hey, flip this really quick. I want to shout this out after you show the mask because it is sweet. But
what am I flipping?
Show to the picture of me with the other goaltender. So this is really cool. This is Bill Duffy, and Bill Duffy is a combat veteran who plays for the Warriors in Philadelphia, Flyers Warriors team, and I was the only goalie for my team, so they decided I needed an emergency backup, and they called Bill in. And Bill had just won a championship in the Warrior Classic in Philly the week before, which I was there to coach for the St. Louis team. And so they said, "Hey, Bill, why don't you come back up?" And 10 minutes left, Mike Keenan pulled me. So I've been pulled by Mike Keenan, who, ironically, we both went to St. Lawrence, and it was all in good fun. But Bill earned the chance to go play with some NHLers, and I don't think he had to earn anything given the amount of times that he was deployed overseas and everything he'd done for us and for all his teammates in Philly and really Warrior hockey in general. And if people don't know about the Vegas veterans hockey team in town, by all means, go say hi to Wolverine at a game because he's one of the big dogs running it. And I can't think of a better group to support than these folks. They're pretty amazing people, Ken. They really are.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I saw that picture, and we had to get some of these up. It's just great stuff.
Yeah.
What did you know how many goals you gave up in this one?
Oh, I know every goal he gave up. It was 6. Scott Hopshaw had a hat trick on me. Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
Did you win?
We lost 6-5.
Oh my goodness. We need one more.
We needed more. At least 2 more. And I'm not as flexible as I used to be. I can't seal the ice very well. My reverse was okay. Like I popped my knee about midway through the first.
Oh God, no!
That's
my fear of those alumni games. Like everyone's getting hurt. Tomorrow's gonna be horrible.
Mike Knuble takes a puck to the face. He's leaking everywhere.
Yeah, this is gonna happen.
Brad Marsh and Todd Fedoruk are going up and down the ice, two-handing each other, furious with one another.
How many of those have you played in? Was that your first one?
That's only my second alumni game. I played in one over the All-Star game in St. Louis 2 years ago. So that would have been 2020?
Yeah, the last All-Star game.
And that wasn't much fun. I got lit up there too. And so I walked out of that rink mad, really, I was frustrated.
Why? Did you give up 100 goals?
It's so hard to turn it off, man. This is why goalies don't play goalie when they're done, because it's you can go wheel around as a forward or defenseman and who cares? Goalies, just getting scored on sucks. We're so wired to have this visceral reaction to it. And that's how I am. I have a hard time with it. And that's why when I was with Vegas in that first year and I could practice with the team, it was when Flower needed a day off, you saw me practice.
Yeah, yeah.
It was amazing because I had no pressure. I could just go practice. I could send it. I gave him a good target because I was just in the league.
Right.
and I knew half of them, and I got a free lunch out of it, and man, it was cool.
Free lunch. That's what you're here for.
But I practiced with the Blues on Halloween too, so I guess I might start getting more of these now.
All right, let's end on some hockey information, current hockey information. First of all, you know anything about Adam Brooks?
Brooksy. Hold on. I'm going to look him up real quick. And
I looked him up today. I know enough about him now.
I know he came
did
from
not
the
know. It's not that common for me that a guy can get claimed or signed or whatever, and I have no idea who he is. Today, I had no clue.
I know shockingly.
I kind of like him.
I know shockingly he's from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Well, that was the least surprising thing. That the most surprising thing was 250 points in the WHL in 2 seasons. And 250.
And I, as in my team, as in the Texas Stars, lost to Adam Brooks and the Toronto Marlies in the Calder Cup Finals in 2018, where he was a centerman.
You still don't remember him.
And he did not factor much in that series.
Not a good sign.
But no, he was a rookie that year, and those teams were stacked. Okay, so that's those Toronto Marlies teams, man, had the biggest payroll by like $1 million. They'd stash away NHL one ways, and the fact that he didn't like crush it his first year in the American League wasn't too surprising. The next year he hit a stride though, and
much better. Yeah, he's like a half point per game player in the AHL, which that's decent. He's a littler guy, 5'11". Skates fairly well. I was kind of reading some of the scouting reports, and they said that was not like the flashiest part of his game, but when you actually watch him play, gets around the ice well enough, good enough hands. He's just kind of one of those guys that has a knack for scoring, so that's exciting. That's different than like the Michael Amadio signing or Daniel Carr or some of these guys. I think there's some guy there is something here that potentially maybe he is an option, and I'm excited to see him play because I think it's possible. Like this is one where I look at and I say like maybe there's an impact player here a little bit. Like maybe he can be a guy that is their 14th forward come postseason time. I think this one's better than some of the other ones we've seen in the past.
I mean, he's I am not saying this with disrespect at all, but he's a warm body. Like they need players
for now. I would agree with you for now, but like
he's the type of player that's just ripe that when they're done with him and he goes back on waivers, he just gets reclaimed by Toronto or by Montreal. Sorry, like that's.
He's from Winnipeg, so I'm not as convinced he's going back on waivers. Like they do have a soft spot for these guys. They do target some of these guys, and like there is something there that like yes, we can make fun of it all we want that he's like the 11th Winnipeg guy on the team, but like there is extra scouting on those types of players, and when a guy puts up 250 points in junior in 2 years, I know he's older and whatever, but like. It's possible there's something there. He has 5 NHL goals or 4 NHL goals. Like there is something there. I'm interested to see what he can be. I'm hoping he can push out Michael Amadio. He can push out, the other guys down the list where like even a Ron Bier-Cotter who, we're not quite there yet. I think that there's maybe an option here. He's a little older.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, Kelly McCrimmon must know him well. I mean,
scored a lot of goals against Kelly McCrimmon's
so like familiarity is a very good thing for a player, and at least let you walk into the rink and have a chat with your general manager that knows you, right? And can say, okay, this is our vision for what we think of you. And like when I say he's a warm body, I still believe that at its core, you're getting what you think is an NHL player. But you always hope, like you said, that there is something more. That's a very real and fair assessment. And he does have a leg up. I mean, if he was from Brandon, I'd probably tell him to get an apartment.
I mean, he's first liner.
Right. But he's only from Winnipeg. So
you got to put him with Stone immediately. Only from Winnipeg, we'll consider maybe putting him with Lecision.
Yeah. So he's
all right. Last thing I have for you, just the standings in the Pacific. The Ducks never lose. The Kings are on a point streak. Edmonton and Calgary are coming back to earth a little bit. San Jose's overperforming a little bit. Seattle stinks so far. Vegas, we understand the excuses there. This has widely been me saying this, the worst division in the league, that I've always thought it was not very good. I still am not quite there. I still don't think there's much in this division that truly should strike fear into anybody in regards to winning the cup. I still think the Golden Knights are the clear favorites to win the cup out of this division. Do you feel like this division's improving enough to make life more difficult on the Golden Knights, either in the regular season or in those first 2 playoff rounds?
Yeah, I do. I think so. I mean, I don't think we expected to have 6 teams that are really competitive. I thought we're looking at like 4.5.
4.
Yeah. You can't have a half, but that's kind of, I thought we'd have 4 and hopefully 5.
Yep.
I picked Los Angeles as a team that I thought was going to be pretty good. They made me nervous at the start of the year, and they've ended up being pretty solid as well.
Yeah.
Vancouver's a mess.
Yeah, they're terrible.
I don't see them trending upward at all.
I think that can change if they make a move. If something's got to happen.
That team's going to get blown up. I don't think the team. I think just something's going to happen there. Whether
I would
it's
agree.
GM or coach or something's going to happen. And Seattle,
I can't believe it hasn't already. Yeah.
Seattle's what I expected. I feel like there's the only person that was still terribly pessimistic about an expansion team, because everybody thought, look at the Knights.
I think they'll get better. I think they'll improve as the season goes on. I don't think they're going to quit like some of these other teams that we've seen in the past. No. But I think they're going to be a tough out here and there. So, Vegas plays them twice more.
I really do like Anaheim. My whole question at the start of the year was like, does their young talent really carry them? And I thought it was going to be Zegras and Drysdale to be the 2 that would prop the team up. And it's been Troy Terry, who's just been incredible. And then it's kind of led to a resurgence of, like, Shattenkirk's healthy. He wasn't healthy all last year. He had knee surgery this summer. He looks like his old self. Getzlaf's feeding off everyone. You have to think culture's better in Anaheim, because now the players aren't looking over their shoulder anymore, thinking their GM's going to be threatening them after a bad game. So, like, this is the one instance where, like, upheaval was probably looked at as going, we can breathe. Yeah. So, and man, Edmonton, Christ, 50% on a power play, like, heads up. Like, dude, like, Mikko Koskinen's, he's been robbing the bank for so long, and he just keeps winning. They're winning with him in net right now. Like, if Edmonton can get some goaltending, they're scary. I do think Calgary is a bit of a mirage. I expect them to kind of level off like they have, and I think
they're decent. I think they're Calgary.
I think they're there. They're
going to be a playoff team, and then when you get them in the playoffs, like, they might upset one team, but they're not a cup threat.
Yeah. So I think that the division, like, I do believe that by the end of the year, Vegas should be there. They really should. I don't know if they win the Pacific, but I think that
I don't think so.
Projecting outward, though, like towards playoffs, if people are healthy, like,
best team,
they're fine. We saw this with Tampa. It's about getting there, having your best team when it comes down to the wire. But
they have to hopefully get good matchups. I'm not sure I want to see Edmonton early in a playoffs. Mm-hmm. I know the failures that are there. I know they're not good defensively, but that just scares me. And so I'm hoping they can kind of avoid that. I'd much rather see Calgary. I'd love to see Anaheim in a playoff series. I don't think they'd give the Golden Knights any troubles. I think Anaheim might run out of gas. A lot of kids playing.
We'll see.
A lot of games. It's tough. And as they get further and further and further into this thing, like, the games become more and more and more important. And that's going to be tough on them. But they're playing great, and they're banking points and, running away from the Golden Knights a little bit here. So I think the division's kind of maybe slipped away. I think the Golden Knights have done well enough to keep their heads above water that the playoffs should be absolutely fine. So not all that worried about that.
I keep saying this. I really am impressed with the Golden Knights being able to get these points.
I think so too.
I think if you're looking at this realistically, you'll take the inconsistency. You'll take
just
the occasional night off.
To be inconsistent, like, it's just things
dude. Yeah, people haven't seen it in Vegas. Like, this is what happens with teams that are okay.
No, I know, but we haven't seen it with the DeBoer Vegas. Like, and there have been ups and downs with, I don't know. Maybe the last year was just stupid.
Yeah. I think the last year
was dumb. The bubble was dumb. The division was dumb. The whole thing was
It's been strange.
It was just stupid. All right,
I will say this. Let's just hope that we get through this. I'm legit. This.
Oh yeah. Do you have like a public address announcement or public service announcement about COVID or what's
No,
what's in
not
your
a
mind
bit,
with
dude.
COVID?
I have none about that. I'm just legitimately hoping that we keep playing these games and that they don't can the Olympics. I'm nervous about it. No,
Why are they
I've
canning
never
the
been nervous.
Olympics?
The moment one team suspended games, it triggered the clause that the NHL could back out of the Olympics. The drop dead date is January 10th. If you see 3 to 4 teams have to suspend games, it's time to
Don't
get
we just
nervous
drop
about the
the bye
NHL going
week?
to the Olympics.
I don't know.
That's how it would work. So
I mean, to
that's
be
kind of the
honest, them
threshold.
not going to the Olympics might be the best thing for the Golden Knights because half their damn roster is going to be there. So
Yeah.
or at least the important players.
Well, yeah, they've all made the Olympic team in some form or another. So you could be the Florida Panthers and have 3 centermen playing for Team Finland.
Yeah,
that could really happen. Like
yeah.
the Olympics are wild, man.
4 games before the next episode, next week's episode 7, numbering episodes, will be on Thursday because the Golden Knights play on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's a nice early one for you.
That's
there.
a good one for me, man. I won't have to watch the second half the next day like I've been.
Detroit at home, Columbus at home, St. Louis on the road, Nashville on the road, one day in between all of them. Looking at the numbers, I don't think you're going to have Marchessault or Carrier in any of them based on COVID. I do not think that you're going to have Martinez tomorrow. I think there's an outside chance White Cloud maybe by the St. Louis game. But other than that, you're pretty well looking at what you're at here with the roster. There's 8 points there. Give me a number.
Let's put this Swami hat on here real quickly and say that's some tough matchups. I'm going to go 5 points though.
Oh, that would be good.
Listen, I was down on them the last time we did this. I really didn't think that they had what it took to get through and grab points. Yeah. And I'm starting to come around on this team again because I think it took them a little bit to find their new identity themselves with players out and learn how to play in these screwed up situations. So I'll go 5 of 8, man. I think they're going to keep trucking along somehow.
Okay, I'm going 1 less. I'll go with 4. I do think at some point they're probably going to have an overtime loss. It's been like before COVID. Like that's the last time they lost a game in overtime was before COVID. It's insane. Yeah. I do think at some point that day is coming. I don't know when that day is, but I'll go 4 points out of this. I think that's fine if they can just keep kicking the can down the road, staying, in the mix. I do think I'm a little nervous. Like I'm a believer in the Thanksgiving thing, and let's be on the right side of the cut line on Thanksgiving, please.
Oh, in being in playoffs by
Thanksgiving.
Like I agree with you. Listen, dude, I thought you were talking pumpkin and pecan pie, and I was just ready to send it, man. I can't wait till Thanksgiving.
You're a big so like I saw this jerk turkey from this place down by the strip that I'm thinking about going down there and getting some of this jerk turkey.
Well, I'm gonna make my own. I'm gonna smoke it. I'm gonna dry brine it the night before. Man, I'm gonna hit that
fry
thing with some barbecue. No, I smoke it.
Oh, you smoke it. Oh, yeah.
Offset, live fire.
You got a Traeger?
Charcoal. No, not a pellet grill. Pellet grill's that's for posers.
Wow. What kind of grill do we have here? What kind of smoke?
I've got a PK grill. It's an old school aluminum capsule, and I use pure lump charcoal. I'll probably use a mixture of cherry and apple woods on this baby. I'm going to run it about 325, 350 if I can get hot enough so that I can get the skin nice and crispy. Poultry likes to be smoked at a higher temperature than people realize. People think that beef and pork should go at 225. You can even run those more like 250, 275, but poultry, you want poultry to run a little bit hotter. It'll soak up the smoke flavor really quickly and get crispy skin. Best of both worlds. God, I love food. That's my TED talk. Thank you for coming.
That was quite the I think I'm gonna just clip that and send it right over to Food Network and do that. I can only imagine that Bobby Flay is gonna quit immediately. Oh my God, I didn't know that nugget. Big Jerk is the name of the jerk turkey store. Big Jerk. It's down on Sahara and almost the 15. Something of that sort. That's it. That's all I've got for today. Thanks again to the Jimerson Law Firm. Thanks, Mike, for joining us. And that phenomenal story about your grandfather. I probably will cry myself to sleep thinking about how amazing that and sports are. It's That's awesome. That's just phenomenal. And then we must end with this.
Where are you going to put the pucks? How are you going to display them?
Mine's going in my room.
Mine's going in my room.
Where are you going to put the pucks? How are you going to display them?
Mine's going in my room.
Good night. Phenomenal.
Good night, everybody.
Way to go, Yoda.